Hello, it is Tuesday, March 4th. I can't believe it myself either. 2025. This is the SOS show with James Lott Jr. I am James Lott Jr., super organizer. It's my 10th season of doing this show. My God, 10 seasons. Can't believe it. And we're doing one of my traditions that I always have on the show. I believe she's number 8 of my tradition, is to have the president of the premier Organizing Productivity Association, which is NAPO, on my show. We'll get that in a second. So she is the owner of SOHO Productivity Solutions, you can see on here, of course. And so she's been in business for, I'm trying to count there, 14 years?
Going on 17.
17, I'm sorry, I can't count. Okay, 17 years. But also, she's a smart person, too. Only because she can organize you, get you all together. But also, she has a sociology degree from Duke. You know that school, that little school, Duke. And a JD, folks, okay, from the University of Houston Law Center. Hello. And a master's in sports management from the University of SF. Hey, San Francisco, my peeps. Just like me, we get our education everywhere. So that just says to me how diverse she is, just even in her education, and how she probably brings that to her job and to her life. And she is going, starting in May, will be the new president of NAPO, the National Association of Productivity Organizers. I'm very excited about that. And she's also part of one of our favorite groups, the National Association of Black Professional Organizers. I'll talk about that a little bit too. Help me welcome Miss Karen Baker.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Hi, Miss Karen. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Now, I always do my thanks and gratitude first before I start. So I believe you should always give thanks and you should live in gratitude when you can. Sometimes it's a little hard. Here in LA, we had the fires in January. I had a flood here this month. But I got a house still. I got a house.
Right.
I think you mentioned that. But today is my grandson Trenton's birthday. He turns 4 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And he is the cutest little baby on earth. I just talked to my daughter this morning. I can't be with them because I'm actually dealing with a roof situation at my house. So I can't even go visit them and be there for his birthday. But I live in gratitude of him being born. He was born on my grandmother Alicia's birthday. So happy heavenly birthday to Miss Alicia. I live gratitude for her because one of the things I remember is when I had my wisdom teeth pulled, I got to stay at her house. She took care of me while I was in pain. That's one of the things I remember about her. But happy heavenly birthday to her too. Older, younger, I'm part of the sandwich generation. I have grandchildren, I have children, I have elderly parents all at the same time. And I live in gratitude of all of them while they're here and while I'm still here. Anything you want to give gratitude yourself, Karen?
Well, I always give gratitude to my mother. Like, I would not be here physically. I would not be the person that I am, the experiences that I've been privileged to have without her and, the hard work that she did. I know what her life was like, growing up, Black woman in the South, then she got married, had me and my brother. Then she got divorced. Then she was a single mom. Like, she went through it. And, you were reading sort of my academic achievements. None of that's possible without my mother and the things that she did and how much she supported me in all of that.
As we're recording this, it is end of Black History Month, the tail end of it. So we go shout out to your mom. What's your mom's name?
Velma Baker.
Oh, Velma Baker. That's right, Miss Velma. We salute you and all other Black women who worked hard raising children and instilling great values in them. When did you, Karen, realize kind of the magnitude of her life? Like, I realized my parents were humans once I became a parent and I was an adult. I didn't get it so much as a kid and as a teenager. Once I left home out in the world, I would say my mid-20s to late 20s, I kind of noticed they really went through some stuff. They were okay. When did you kind of realize your mom was that super special?
Mine was a lot earlier. I'm going to say probably 7th or 8th grade. That was when basically I took some tests at my, local public elementary school. and they decided that, okay, her test scores are really good. Here's some, other opportunities for her. And I got the chance to go to one of the best schools in not only, Houston, where I'm from, but really it's one of the best schools in the country, one of the best college prep schools in the country. And all that she did to sort of hold my hand through that process, I mean, I'm 12 maybe at that point. And dealing with, leaving my father and all of that, like, she was really going through it, but she was always there for me. Like, having the front row seat to all of that and still seeing her show up for me.
That's good.
That was it.
I caught it later. No, I get it. I think I was so busy dealing with all my own stuff that was going on, which kids and parents do all the time. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. You saw what she was doing and recognized it early. Okay, she's sacrificing a lot, doing a lot for us, and I should appreciate that.
Absolutely. And it's motivational.
Yeah.
Like, she's giving up all that. I better, get it right.
Well, it's very cool because I know mothers and daughters. I have 2 daughters. That can be a tenuous relationship. But I always say, at some point, you guys come back together. You guys, you just do. I mean, you need your mother. I was like,
yeah.
I need my mother too, but you need your mother. They need their mothers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's they're great examples of how to live. So I'm sure she's very proud of you. I'm sure Miss Velma is very proud of you. You made some comments. But I want to ask you, because I'm a person like you, my resume is varied. I've done different careers. Mm-hmm. For you, why is yours so varied? I know why mine is kind of, but because yours really is. It jumps around. It's all great stuff.
It's like my journey. It was very moment to moment. Like, I would have a plan, but then I would pivot. And I think, a lot of people are like, oh my God, you were so brave to, change, or, you're dealing with sort of the peer pressure of you've made a decision and to stick with it. So, I went to college. I started out thinking I wanted to be a doctor. That was it. Okay. And then I ran into, freshman chemistry. I was like, maybe not. So then it was like, okay, you had to pick a major, by like your sophomore year. What am I interested in? Sociology, right? Like the study of society and us as groups, right? That fascinated me. So it was great and enjoyed it a lot. And, you get to your senior year graduation. Oh, what are we going to do now? And first I had the idea of like, oh, I'm going to do like that gap year thing, right? I'm going to take some time off. And then I was like, yeah, if I take some time off, I'm just going to sit on the couch. Like, I need to do something. So what's my next step? Law school was sort of my fill the gap, because I decided that education was applicable across, any kind of endeavor I decided to do. So I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I figured law school would come in handy for that. And then while I was in law school, it was like, you know what? I really like sports. Maybe I'm going to take my law degree into sports. So did that, got my master's in sports management, worked in professional sports for about a decade. Loved that. But back then it was a little tougher for a woman. And so I, decided, okay, I need to do something else. And that's how I fell into organizing.
Yeah, we'll get into that, because that's, again, we come from a time where now you can do this, but when we were kids, there was organizing when I grew up, there was no, that wasn't a profession. Until the 80s when those ladies got together, but we didn't grow up going, I want to be an organizer, I want to be a productivity specialist. That they just weren't even, I'll be a life coach. Those things weren't even invented yet. And I think like most of us, and I've done over 500 shows of the show in 10 years, we've all kind of fell into, I feel like everybody came into from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting for the day. I think I have one. I think I have one person out of college went straight into this, but the rest we've all fallen into it. But I know as we go forward, these new generations have seen us as organizers. So, but back to the other stuff. I know how that is. Same here. I tried certain things, went with it. I wanted to be a nurse. I was a nurse first, so I went to my doctor. I was a nurse first.
Yeah.
Went to school for nursing. Was a nurse for 10 years and hated sick people. So that doesn't help. You know, right? You're a nurse. Doesn't really help anything. I was like, okay, I got to change my profession. Yeah, that's one of the starts there. Now, when it came to this organizing, how did you first even know it was a profession or something you could do to make money? So I'm very curious how you found out.
So I would say my first exposure to organizing was I actually worked a part-time job at the Container Store while I studied for the bar exam.
Oh my God. Okay, great. Okay.
So that was really like, I was like, okay, it's a retail job. And then I was like, oh, it's like an organizing thing. And, I got a lot of training, as a, employee there, and was like, okay, that's a thing now. At the time, since like I said, I was studying for the bar. After I passed the bar was when I started working in sports. And it wasn't until after I, ran my course in that industry that, I came back to organizing. Like, okay, what do I have skills in? What can I do? I was like, I did enjoy my time working there. I learned a lot. That was on the list. I start doing a little research. That's how I came across NAPO, and I was like, this is a thing. This is awesome. This, pulls from like everything that I've done previously. Yes. Like, this is perfect.
Yes, everybody. That's the one thing. If you're watching, I know I have people who watch in the industry, but I know I have folks who watch who are not in the industry. If you're thinking about it, I'm sure part of whatever your life experiences out there will come in handy in this business. It really does. And I'm glad you said that. It's a key thing is that, I did everything from insurance to retail, food service, nursing. I did all kind of stuff. Well, it all actually works in the favor of this job.
Yep. You really pull from all of that.
You pull from all that. And for you, sociology, yes, obviously. Mm-hmm. Law, yes, obviously. I mean, like everything you've done too. It's all, management of people, management of safe spaces, all kinds of stuff. All that stuff. I mean, that's makes sense. So Container Store, I've never met anybody who worked at the Container Store. It's kind of funny. You're the first guest I've had who actually worked.
It's a great place to work.
Yes. I've been in there many times. Many times. So, okay. Before we get into the organizing part, were you always a person who was pretty organized yourself?
I am going to say no on that. I am a person who likes for things to be easy and hates to make the same mistake twice. And so organizing helps with both of those, right? If things are in their right place, it makes everything go better. When things don't go well, I am very big on, okay, how can I make that go better or easier in the future? And it's usually some form of, organizing. How do I put it in place, that just makes the whole process easier. So yeah, no, it's not natural, but it's more, for me, it's more being a problem solver.
Now, that must work for you when you work with certain clients, because you say, I can relate, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm sure it helps with certain people you work with, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It helps, I think, too, with a lot of clients feel like they're somehow lacking something, right? And they're worried about the judgment. And it's like, oh, no. My desk gets messy too, except I get to the point where I'm like, okay, now it's starting to affect me. It's time for it to get back in order. And that's easier to do, when you have a general sort of organizing system, right? But, oh yeah, like if I have a particularly rough week, it looks like a hurricane hit my desk. And that's okay. Like, it was a rough week.
No, it is. And she's right. Everything you're saying, I'm like, you're speaking my language. I think, they think organizers mean judgment. perfection. These are words I don't like at all. Perfection. No, we're just saying we have things in place. So if things go out of place, they go back to place. I mean,
Exactly.
that's kind of what it is. You just said
Mm-hmm.
we have systems in place. So when we need to clean it up, we can. And they always say the joke is that organizers are the laziest people. That's always the joke. I love that.
I would agree with that. I would agree
Yes.
with that. A lot of my systems come out of the fact that I am lazy and want to make things as simple as possible.
Me too. I like too much. I got other things to do. But no, it's very and I'm telling you, I say this all the time on the show. Seriously, being organized is a wonderful thing. I mean, it really is. You may think right now you're in chaos and it's like organized chaos. No, it's just chaos. It's not organized chaos. It's chaos. I don't want to find that shirt. It's right there. It's always right there, but it's over the chair and it doesn't look like so. It's like I just tell people, just please try it. It's like it's sometimes it's hard getting it together at 1st, but like you said, once it's together, do you have what is your motto for your business? What is your kind of your mission?
Do I have a motto? I'm all about like, what are your goals, right? There are things you want to accomplish in life, and organizing and productivity are helping you focus on those things to not get distracted by, outside noise, things that aren't important, and, help you get from here to there. I mean, that's kind of what I do. That's why I work mostly with businesses, small business owners, solopreneurs. So I got out of the, residential organizing and into the workplace because I really responded to people who have sort of these clear goals, right? When you have a business, it's usually, I want my business to survive kind of thing. I want to make some money. Let me help you put some systems in place that are going to help you do those things.
Okay, good. This is great because we can talk about this one because I love it. I work with some small business and they call them solopreneurs or mom, what do you want to call them? I like it too because it is a different goal set than working from home or working as a home person who's running a house. It's very different. Some similarities, but very different. What is one thing that you come across? You can mention you come across working with a lot of small businesses trying to get organized.
The overwhelm. I think juggling too many pieces. And that's really where I feel like my sports background comes in handy. Sports, a lot of times, particularly team sports, it's all about making the pieces work together. Right. And so I try to make the various pieces of your work life work better together, easier to get you where you want to go. So yeah, that's probably it.
No, it makes sense because folks, when we are on if this is a business, folks, and when you're on business, you're juggling, all the contracts, all the actual work. Sometimes you may have a small staff, you're juggling them too, which includes payroll and workman's comp and just life and personalities. And then also your clients have their personalities, whatever they're going through. Like it's a lot to juggle at once. Or you may have multiple projects. Even just that alone sometimes gets you overwhelmed too, where you're like, okay, this one Monday and Tuesday, and this one. I mean, it's great to be busy, folks. Trust me. We like feast, not famine. We like feast. But yeah, that's very true. When you're doing it yourself, that's when you're doing everything yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's where your productivity with your name comes in handy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I like working with the solopreneurs because, I like to think I help them in that little space between you first started and you have a little success and maybe you have that goal to eventually scale up, but you're struggling with just that next step, that in-between step, right? Like, okay, now I have a lot of clients. Now I have contracts. Now I have, a bookkeeper or, a marketing person. And how do I manage all that, right? That, that's the part, that's where I like to step in sort of that middle step, that middle gap.
Yeah, people don't realize, and I didn't know this either. This is my first business. I was always worked for people, but I've been in business 16 years. So I'm right behind you. And one of the things I realized is the next step stuff. So when you are feast, not famine, you're like, great. I got all these people, I'm working, but there's like things do fall behind. Things are forgotten. and I've double booked a couple of times by accident. And like, little things like that, you come up and you're like, oh, okay. And you're thinking, well, I want more than this too. You're also thinking, I want to get bigger and bigger, but
right.
you're like, I can't quite get there because I'm still trying to manage the sea of stuff right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very true. That's very, very true. Have you? I'll have to ask this just for fun. In your 17 years in business, have you ever had to fire a client?
Yes. It wasn't really fire as much as I think you're going to be happier with this organizer. They're better equipped to deal with what you need than I am. So that's probably, I don't think I've had any that I've had to out and out say we can't work together anymore. Goodbye.
So, but a lot of people ask me this question, so I just want to kind of get your take on it. How? I mean, because first you're like, oh no, like you feel like, oh my God, it's not working out. It's one thing when it works out, it's great, but when it doesn't work out, you're like, oh, it's not working out. So, how did you kind of, well, all the details, obviously, but just kind of how did you walk through that to be able to make that decision? Because people ask me that question all the time. So I thought, oh, somebody who's been through it. I mean, it's kind of just like, how did you have the bravery to go? It's not supposed to be just I got
yeah. It's always hard to say no to the money, right?
Oh, yes.
Like, okay, they're paying me. Do I really want to just turn that down because of, this reason? It doesn't seem that big. This particular client, it was more of we got out of scope. I was helping him on the technology side of things, organizing digital files, things like that for his business. And then it morphed into, I'm helping him move and packing clothes. And I'm like, this is not what I do. Like, I mean, I found myself in the closet, like folding shirts. And I'm like, isn't this why I got into doing, business productivity? Like, this is not my thing. Wonderful person, loved my client. So then I was like, you know what? I need to hand him off to someone who enjoys this, who's better at it. I think part of it too was feeling like my attitude towards it was going to affect my relationship with this client. Like I didn't want to be doing this, and that's going to come through. So let me put you with someone who enjoys doing that aspect of it, and it'll be better for everyone. So
very smart. No, I had a situation once where, and it's so weird how it happens. I want folks who are in the business keep an eye out because. So you work with somebody who's nice. Like I said, they're nice. They're not. It's harder when they're nice and not.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Sure, if they're rude or mean, you're like, yeah, get out. I'm done. Like that's easy. No, it's not easy when they are actually really coming to you for help and they're sweet and you form a bond of some sort. Of course, as you work with your client, we do. It's personal. We just do. And we have boundaries, but there's like still But then all of a sudden, like you said, you're not really paying attention. And for me, I was mopping a floor. I remember mid mop, I was like, well, I said some stronger words, but what am I doing? I'm like, oh my God, she asked me to do it.
Right.
Like, I do it for her. Like, that's not my job. Like, I decided, I finished the floor, and I just walked out. I'm done. I'm going. I finished the floor. And then I had to talk, because I was hired for this person's, like, mother or whatever. And she was, again, sweet. I talked to her daughter. I said, girl, this is what happened. And she's like, oh my God. So that's not true. We don't pay you that much money to mop a floor. I go, I know you don't. My rates aren't for mopping.
Right.
It's like, but the more important thing was just kind of like, because we respect our clients and in some ways we become friendly with them. We care about them on some level that you'll find yourself doing stuff all of a sudden. Wait a minute, that wasn't that if you don't pay attention enough. You have to keep the boundaries really clear. And that's something I've learned for longer I've been in business. But in the beginning, that was my problem sometimes.
Yes. I now make that referral earlier in the process.
Yes. Me too. And I'm sure like you, there's a large chapter. Houston's a large chapter, folks. And with great people. I know all my folks, my Jennifer Lavas and all that, all my great folks down there. And I just talked to her yesterday. I love Houston. And so it's great people. Like I say, in this business, we don't see competition. We see camaraderie. I pass people on all the time to people like,
Mhm.
especially here in LA, and in Houston too, it's so big. Folks, Houston's the fourth largest city in the US. I did not know it was that big until I went there. So there are parts of LA like I don't go to, so I was like, let me get you somebody who lives over there. I'm sure Houston's similar. I'm sure Houston's the same way.
Yep, absolutely. Like, oh, I do not want to drive all the way out to, Clear Lake or, wherever. I'm like, yeah, I need to hand that off.
Yes. I had a good time in Houston, folks. I had a good time. And years ago, I would say, how long has it been? It's been 10 years. I actually did a class at one of your Houston chapters. I was very impressed by the chapter. I was invited out and I did a class on media. That was my thing. It was at a packed class. It was fun. Got to meet Geraldine Thomas there. She and I were folks who've been circling each other out here. And then we got to finally, our classes actually were next to each at the same time. We wanted to go to each other's class at the same time.
It didn't work.
Didn't work, but we had to get to meet. We had a great time out there. But all the ladies there were wonderful to me. Great chapter. Kind of, we hear about Beyonce. She's from Houston,
Yeah.
H-Town. What can you say about Houston? I'm just kind of curious. I mean, you work there, you live there.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like a general thing you think we should know about Houston?
Oh man. I mean, I feel like Houston is a big cosmopolitan city with like not necessarily a small town feel, but just a more intimate feel. It's not we're not always talking about how big we are. We just are, right? We don't talk about the amount of diversity in our city. We just are. You go to the store, and you're hearing people speak different languages, and all that stuff. It is. So it's very low key. It's very low key, but it has everything you want in a big city. The art scene, the business and innovation part, the diversity. That's what I would say about Houston. But it's just we're pretty laid back here.
No, it's a big city, and I went to this. God, was it? I forgot the name of it. This barbecue place was really good. Met the owner, take pictures, had a good time. We had a good time. It was really good. Now, Freddie works out in the Montrose area,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to go see him and see some friends in there. So I mean, folks, it's huge. I just really had no clue how big it was. So I was like, so you work in one of the major metropolitan cities in America. So how do you find business? That's another question we always ask. So
really referrals. That was my bread and butter. And, it's just sort of a, just between us and everybody. I am a diehard introvert. And so the hardest thing about going into business was oh, wait, I have to talk to people to convince them to hire me.
Yes.
How am I going to do that when talking to people gives me a little pause, right? And that's where NAPO was so vital in me building my business. So, I got clients, but more importantly, my colleagues learned what I do, how I do it, how well I do it. And, just like we were talking about how we were referring out, my colleagues were referring to me because what I do, particularly getting into the technology aspect of things, working in the offices, a lot of Houston organizers and, NAPO organizers nationwide were like, oh, if it's technology, talk to Karen. That's who you want. She'll have it handled. Right. And so for a good, I don't know, 7 years, I'm like 90% of my clients were coming from NAPO referrals, So yeah, that's how I found clients. And now my clients refer me in addition to, my NAPO colleagues. But yes, I've gotten better at talking to people and convincing them to hire me.
That's so funny. Oh my God. So
yes.
That's not, I mean, woo, I know. I'm an extrovert, as you can tell. So I've never been shy in my life. So I have no idea what that's like. So I give reference to folks who really are where it doesn't come easy for you to put yourself out there, especially in a business setting. Like I
Yes.
would try to convince you to hire me.
Yes.
I got to use words and phrases and look at you,
Right.
and
I
so
gotta
I
call
get
you back. Like, oh, I gotta call someone on the phone. Whew, okay. What am I gonna say? Let me get it all straight. Like, oh yeah, it's a constant struggle.
oh, good for you. No, I'm very impressed. Good for you. But that leads into because it leads into NAPO. I love talking about NAPO on the show, and they support my show completely. I know they have their own podcast, which I was on once. But we actually we support each other. Back this is a decade and a half long relationship I've had with them. And all that. Like I said, all the presidents, and you are. I just as we're recording this during Black History Month. You are the first African American president coming in of NAPO.
Well, I think I'm the second. I think Standel and Robertson would be the
Oh
first.
yeah, standalone. That's right. So you're second. Okay,
Yes.
you're second.
Yes.
So for me, that makes me very happy just to see that this month. Just when I heard about it, I was like, oh my god, this is very nice. But also just goes to show. And I want to say this publicly. Naples had some issues with race and stuff in the past, but they actively decided to work on it and do partnerships and classes and courses and reaching out, meeting sometimes. I want to give them their props. I've been critical of them on some things sometimes too. So I want to give them the props too at the same time, and say that this is wonderful and this is a wonderful example of that organizing productivity doesn't have color. That's kind of the
Yes.
point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what would you be your statement on just on that part of it first? Like this it doesn't do with color or gender or anything. It's organizing. It's productivity.
It absolutely is. I mean, the the diversity of I think it was part of the growth of the organizing industry in terms of it was such a small niche to start. And so initially, I would say it was fairly homogenous. As it grew and people became aware of it, now you're bringing in more people, different perspectives, different experiences. And so it took a minute, I think, for NAPO as an organization to sort of catch up with that, right? It was used to being a certain way. And now, as you're getting more people that have that different perspective, you've got to make space for those different perspectives. So that took a minute. I think now NAPO, I am amazed when I go to conference and we have international attendees. So you're hearing different languages. We have organizers, we have productivity people, we have move managers. There's diversity in sort of our practice, the things that we are our specialties. I love it all. Like I honestly tell people that diversity is one of NAPO's strengths. We have a very large umbrella, and there are a lot of people under that NAPO umbrella these days.
I agree. I totally agree. I have no complaints. I totally agree with that. And I think it's just wonderful. You now that I know you're an introvert. Obviously, NAPO was good to you because how does one introvert get into the business and then you've been on committees and things like that, and then you become president. So how did that happen?
I feel like me getting ready to be president of NAPO is a testament to the power of showing up. Because when I first joined, and I joined NAPO right when I started my business, and there were chapter meetings that I would actually drive to the meeting and park in the parking lot and would see people going in and was too nervous to go in. I remember my first conference. It was 2009 Orlando. I made it through that entire conference without talking to anyone.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I showed up. I went to sessions, right, which I enjoyed, and then I went back to my room.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
But what I did do, sort of after the initial, okay, I can't go in and let me just leave and go home, was I'm just going to keep showing up. And I had a NAPO colleague one day tell me, that, she's like, I know you're an introvert. I know you think like no one's noticing you and you're hiding in this corner. She was like, but you've been going to conference for years. You've been walking around in these spaces and people know who you are.
Ah, that's hilarious. I love
And so that caused me to, see myself in a different way. Volunteering was also a way for me to kind of push my boundaries a little bit. Doing the work, right? Being on a committee, right? There's work to be done. So that was easy for me. Being on the board, push those boundaries a little bit further. Being asked to run for president, push them a lot.
it.
Obviously, I said yes.
Yes.
But it was just, I was determined to show up in some way, shape, or form. And when you show up, it takes the pressure off a little bit. People feel like they know you and they come talk to you. So I did not have to make the initial move. I would get asked to be on committees. I got asked to participate in different projects. And, I was willing to raise my hand and say yes and do those things. So
Yeah.
that's how I got from there to here.
Wonderful. I think it's wonderful. Oh my God. There are a lot of introverts out there. And so
Yes.
who want to succeed, you just show them you can succeed. You just have to
Absolutely.
you have to bet on yourself. You have to kind of go, okay, I can do this. Right.
Yes.
Talk to
Yes.
yourself, I can do this. And you're doing it. Oh my goodness. I love
I
it.
am.
Which means you'll be at conference and you'll be speaking probably. Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, I'll be on stage here and there.
And see, I love the stage. I can't get off of it. No. It's so different. I don't know how that is. It's a fun being on stage. It's fun, folks. It's fun. No, I swear. So for you, this is almost like a rhetorical question, clearly, but I want to relate it to NAPO. Education is important, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And to you, so obviously, how has NAPO's education side really served you over the years?
Mm-hmm. That commitment to continuing education is like, that's where NAPO just has my heart all the time. We tend to come into this industry because we have sort of natural abilities, right? A certain way of approaching things. But it's the continuing education and the challenge to always get better, to deal with the changes in the world, which affect our clients and affect how we help them, the tools that we have to help them. And education is such a important part of that. Getting exposed to other avenues, other possible solutions, in addition to getting education from, classes that you can take in NAPO University, you get education from your colleagues. Some of the best lessons I've learned have come from just talking to my colleagues and how they approach a problem and comparing it to like my current approach and what of their approach can I incorporate. So it's just that challenge of always getting better, always learning, always developing. It's ongoing.
I'll personally attest. There are so many wise and wise. I'll say wise because mostly I work with, but it's not them. There's only a few of us guys in the business, but I work mostly women in the business. Some wise women that I would just bet my life on in this business and in NAPO. I mean, there's so many. Yes. Oh my God, there's so many smart women out there that I just sit there. I just shut up. Listen, absorb it all in. No, seriously, on this show in public, at meetings. I've been to conferences, the whole thing. I've gone to sessions. I'm telling you. So if you're an organizer out there thinking about it, those conferences are the bomb diggity. I mean, you just use regular. I don't know if the kids say that anymore, but
yes. I still say it, so I'm with you on that one.
That's right. They do. But seriously, I remember my first conference was LA. Was years, like 1,000 years ago. And I remember just absorbing the high of being with other organizers. Mm-hmm. There's this thing where everyone's there for that reason, and you feel it it's a natural high.
Yes.
So I can imagine you not even talking to people. You probably were taking it in, just going, "Wow, this is amazing." And you're listening to speakers you're like, "I never even thought of that before." what?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
wow, they do it that way. Like I would sit there, I'm just like, I was in awe that this business is not just some little hobby for us. I mean, it can't be for somebody else, for us. And there's some real work being done. I mean,
Mhm.
mental, physical, psychological work being done in our field, right?
Yes, yes. I mean, I still remember that first conference, like going to the expo and being in a room where we get excited over like changes and innovations in file folders.
Oh yeah, oh, I
Right?
do, I
Like,
do.
oh my goodness, these are my people. Oh my gosh, like the labels are on top so you can see it when you pull
Yes,
the drawer. Like, right. And being around other people who get that excitement
I agree.
and how life changing that can be
Oh my
is
god,
like the best part.
that's so funny. I mean, I went to another conference which was like there was some developments in labels themselves. Like these peel off nicer and they kind of clear. I'm like, oh my god, I love labels. Just give them to me. I want all the labels I want. You know, because I'm labels. So I mean, yeah, my friends would be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, you don't understand. Like they made it
Right?
easier for us. You don't understand.
This is going to be life changing.
Yes, exactly. My clients will love this. I'm always like, my client will love that, and they usually do, right? They usually do. It's like that. I always ask this of incoming presidents or presidents elect or presidents. So, what is one of your platforms that you hope to see happen while you're president?
Mm, platform. I mean, honestly, right now I'm focused on the member experience, right? The feeling of community. And we talked about standalone. So she was president when I went to my first conference.
Oh, okay.
And the conference where I talked to no one. And she gave her president's address, and she told a story about sort of being meeting her roommate. She was rooming with someone at conference and sort of feeling that organizer stereotype, the weight of that stereotype of having everything be perfect, right? But she told it in such a warm and funny way that it made little introvert Karen feel like, okay, there's a place for me here. Like, this intelligent, smart woman is talking about feelings that I know, that I can relate to. And so I guess it's more of an informal platform, I guess. For me, I want to be able to do that for incoming members, right? I want to be able to provide that welcome to the industry, that welcome to the association, and make them feel you can do this. You're one of us. We're here to support you on this journey that you've taken. And so, yeah, I just want to improve the community and the feeling and pass it on. It's done so much for me, and I want to make sure I do it for others.
Well, that's formal. That's important. That's very important. And I want to say two things. One, yes, Stanley. So I've never had her on my show. You're welcome to the show, Stanley. I would love to have you on the show. I've never had her on the show, but I know she's wonderful. I mean, her reputation precedes her.
Yes, yes,
Really, she's wonderful. A legend in our business. Um,
yes.
but also, I do agree. Um, there's so many wonderful people here, and are doing amazing work, even from picture organizing to this over here and that, all kind of stuff. And I think this is a business that we should welcome people in of all
Mm-hmm.
walks of life, of all
Mm-hmm.
ages, of all sizes, of all heights. I mean, I'm being kind of funny, but like, I've heard so many horror stories where they don't hire me because I'm too short, or I don't hire me. I'm like, it has nothing to do with it. You can still, we all can do the work. Like,
Yes,
it's not prohibitive of anything.
yes,
So I'm glad that that's something. I think there's something. I mean, if people are going to pay to be part of an association, they should have a great experience.
yes, absolutely.
That's just number one. So I think that's a great thing. And I said our industry is so, oh my god, there's so many nice people in it who have so much knowledge to share with
Mm-hmm.
you, that it's invaluable. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad it's changing. I'm glad the face of the organizer is evolving and changing, and much more inclusive, and everybody's out there doing their thing. And there's a lot of work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially America, we have a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
Woo! In my own
Yeah.
family, Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. We have a lot of stuff, and people are busy, and people are running around, and like we said earlier, no shame, no judgment, no shame. It happens to everybody, But our industry is here to help. Um, when you found out you were elected president, because I was always asking this to other presidents, what was your first thought?
I would say let's go back to when the nomination committee reached out to me and was like, "Hey, would you think about running for president?" And it was absolute shock. Like it had never in a million years crossed my mind. And so when they say your mind goes blank, like I now know what that feels like because I was like, "Wait, huh?" Um, but I said yes. And when we had the election and I was president elect, I would
Yes.
say the feeling was being humbled, right? My peers and colleagues are showing their trust and faith in me, and that's a humbling experience. They believe in me. They trust me to represent this organization and to make decisions regarding the future of this organization. And I take that so seriously. So, yeah, I would say just humbling overall. The faith that the members have in me is very humbling.
What do you think for outsiders?
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing they should take away from our industry? Like, there's
One
many.
thing that, we're here to help. Right? There's so many challenges in the world today, and in all of those challenges, in most of those challenges, I'm sure an organizer or productivity professional can help you with that. We're here to help you get where you want to be, where you need to be, to help you through those challenges, health challenges, moving challenges. We're a new parent. We've got a new job. All of those things, there's an organizer or productivity professional that can help you with that. And we're excited to help you get where you want to be.
Yeah, we are, folks. We love what we do,
Mm-hmm.
and I do. I love what I do, and I just want to thank you for your time with me, Ms. President Elect, and President of SOHO Productivity Solutions. Thanks for being on my show. You're welcome back
Thank you for
anytime.
having me. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Now's your chance to promote yourself. All about promoting yourself. So where can they find you? Your business? Tell them. I'll put it in the description below, of course, too. But where can they find you?
They can find me at sohoproductivitysolutions.com. I am here for your productivity consultant. I help people with their technology decisions, help them organize all of their devices and files and whatnot to help them, meet their goals at work and in their businesses. So, yep. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook, all under Soho Productivity. So you can find me pretty much anywhere.
Find her. Find her, folks. Find her.
Right? You got the introvert to promote herself.
Exactly. So that's what I'll do it for you, girl. I'll come find her. I'll post everything. We'll put her everywhere. We'll put her everywhere. You do the show, we'll go out to a lot of people too. So we're gonna get you out there
Yes.
also because but the bottom line is you're a business. That's the bottom line.
Right?
Yes.
You got to make money. You got to make money. We love what we do, but we also have to, pay the rent and eat.
Yes. Very important. Folks, you can find me at the Super Organizer everywhere. That's what I do. That's who I is. A lot of help.com is my website. Everyone out there, take care of yourselves. And again, remember, organizing doesn't mean perfection, doesn't mean shame or anything like that. If you want help or if you want her to help you and you're afraid to go to her, maybe you're introvert yourself, contact me. I will say this all the time and I will make the introductions. So there's no barriers. There's nothing holding you back if you would like to have the help today. And I suggest you want the help today. You want it. I'm James Lott Jr. I'll talk to you next time.